In an effort to find games to cover between J-Files episodes, I tend to have to filter through some garbage. But sometimes I'm caught off guard by a diamond in the rough. Today's diamond is Ultimate Zombie Defense, a rather generic sounding name for what looks like a generic game. But there's something about UZD that has hooked me. It's a simple enough premise: hold out against waves of zombies who want your man flesh. The twist is the ability to construct defenses and buy powerful weapons between waves. That alone gives me enough reason to spend time reviewing UZD. Now, I'll be honest, I thought this was an asset flip at first glance. It probably is, but without any credits, I'm unsure who even made UZD. The only info I have is the name of the developer, Terror Dog Studio. I sent them an email with some questions and received no reply. Take it as you will. In any case, most of the visuals have a budget look to them. A lot of the scenery is fairly low poly, but not distractingly so. The textures are fairly flat and I can see seams in places. But these are nitpicks. I didn't notice them until I was watching back footage for the purpose of this video. Performance-wise, UZD never crashed during my playtime, which is always appreciated. There was a moment or two where I had noticeable frame dips, but nothing major. And yes, UZD is made in Unity for those who are wondering. Unity gets a bad rap because of its ubiquitous use in subpar indie games. I always hear a lot of grumbling about Unity despite the fact that games like Cuphead, RimWorld, Timberborn, and Katamari Damacy Reroll are made with it. Don't get me wrong, Unity has its problems, but so does every other game engine out there. Unreal 5 has a huge problem with actively compiling shaders in the middle of gameplay. Hence why you'll see some games with long loading times on launch. Anyway, that's the end of my dissertation on visuals for now. There's a variety to the maps available, with the most interesting looking map as DLC. Honestly, I'm not sure why UZD has DLC, but I'm not getting that answer. Each map contains a surprising amount of detail. The mall could have been empty, but the benches, plants, and information displays give it some life. You can even walk into individual stores. The city has walled parks that can be used as temporary forts. Each map plays very differently from one another as a result. Having to worry about Zeds in only two directions is why I have so much footage of Bridge. The sound quality of UZD fits my expectations. The music is metal, and as always, I'm a fan. I would have liked to credit the artist, but that's impossible. Weapons sound more powerful as they are improved, except for the pistols, which only sound more tinny to me. The zombies sound like zombinos, and the hellhounds go bark. I don't know, I can tell there are stock sounds here, but that's not a crime when you're a small team working on a budget. Overall, the sound is serviceable and isn't a detractor for me. The gameplay is really the main draw for UZD. Conceptually, it reminds me of the Last Stand series of Flash games. The similarities end with a dude shooting zombies trying to get into his fort. Each round presents you with a new wave of zombies to mow. Kills give money, as does completing a round. In between rounds is where things become interesting. There are two kinds of stores, with the first to buy and upgrade weapons. You can hold 3 weapons, a primary, a secondary, and a special. The available weapon selection is a little plain, but I do enjoy the general feel of each weapon. The second store is to build the fort. Eventually, there will be enough zombies that you'll need to have some kind of barrier between you and them. What better to use than razor wire, wooden stakes, and chain link fences? Sentry turrets is the answer. You can build bases with all manner of defenses and explosives. One of my favorite things to do in UZD is to exploit the zombie pathing by going between obstacles. Their AI is designed to go the shortest path with the least number of obstacles in the way. You can set up barriers and just run around them to really confuse the Zeds. The AI's jankiness can cause some other fun situations. Some Zambers tend to get really fixated on particular walls. It becomes their unlife's purpose to destroy them. Zambinis are the bulk of the enemies sent at you, but there are also a number of special infected. The zombies themselves are divided into walkers and runners. Runners are rare at first, but end up as the most common infected toward the end of the game. The special infected include human-based IEDs, boomers, chainsaw men, the hounds of hell, Grabby McGrabber, spitters, and screechers. Monsters of nightmares they be. On top of horrifying creatures, every 10 waves will be a boss wave. Bosses include the likes of the Berserker, Happy the Clown, and Lord Supex. There's also the chance for Barkrex to spawn on a Hellhound wave if RNGesus frowns upon you. Each boss has their own little gimmick, my least favorite being Lord Supex, who keeps splitting up upon death. Happy's 2 health bars are nothing if you have space to move around. The Berserker's tendency to smash results in a Hurricane Ian situation. Fear not, because you do not have to face the horrors alone. Convince a friend to play and fight off the swarms back to back. The most noticeable difference between single player and multiplayer is difficulty. Zombies were more numerous and a bit more spongy with 2 players. At the same time, having another player to split Zed attention is a welcome help, especially against that jerknuts Lord Supex. There's some level of progression here, with different playable characters having different skills. These skills can be upgraded via their respective research tree. I didn't invest enough time to complete a tree, but the weapons I gained were worthwhile. 20% damage is 20% damage, and I'm not turning my head at unlimited ammo. I guess my only critique for UZD would be its repetitiveness. Once you have played a few rounds, you will have experienced most if not all the game has to throw at you. Personally, I don't see this as a negative considering UZD is fun for dirt cheap. Ultimately, I think Ultimate Zombie Defense is a fun little game to kill some time and zombies. It's not the most impressive game on the market, but it accomplishes what it set out to do, especially for the price. UZD is an absolute steal at its usual 50 to 75% off sale price. Even at full price, I think it's well worth the cost. Thanks for watching. More garbage to come.